Hello, here is my presentation. I decided to do it on bilingualism. So first we will go over the definition of bilingualism, and I want you to see that it is a very important thing to remember. It is the ability to speak languages. It may be acquired early by children in regions where most adults speak two languages. So it's mostly something related to speaking more than one language. And children may also become bilingual by learning languages in two different social settings. For example, British children in British India learned an Indian language from their nurses and family caregivers. A second language can also be acquired in school. Bilingualism can also refer to the use of two languages in teaching, and this is very important because we will be talking about that, especially to foster learning in students trying to learn a new language. Advocates of bilingual education in the U.S. argue that it speeds learning in all subjects for children who speak a foreign language at home and prevents them from being marginalized in English language schools. Detractors counter that it hinders such children from mastering the language of the larger society and limits their opportunities for employment and higher education. So some of the advantages of becoming bilingual is because it helps your brain to be more active, and that is very important to remember. Somebody that speaks more than one language or has become bilingual has a better function, a higher function of the brain while they are switching between different languages. So that is important to remember. And why knowing more than one language is good for you, mental health. It delays Alzheimer's and dementia onset. It slows down brain aging. It improves mental function, and it improves cultural and spiritual well-being. Now we will go over an article, and it's right here. It's about the 10 common fallacies about bilingual education. So if you are interested, we have the article right here, and it is the full article. Is almost like 6 pages, so you will be able to go over the 10 different fallacies about bilingual education. But for the sake of this presentation, I'm just gonna go over the two first ones. So since 1968, and this is an important date because it's when the Bilingual Education Act was passed, researchers have made considerable advances in understanding second language acquisition. We know a great deal about the challenges faced by English language learners and about promising strategies for meeting these challenges. Yet, one such strategy, bilingual education, which is now in fashion, remains a subject of considerable controversy. Although a growing body of research points to its benefits, there are several commonly held beliefs or misbeliefs about language acquisition, academic learning, and bilingualism that run counter to scientific findings, and this is important to keep in mind. What follows is an attempt to address some of these fallacies. So, fallacy number 1, English is losing ground to other languages in the United States. I'm not really sure. Some people will be in disagreement with this statement, but let's see what research says about it. It's fair to say that more languages are spoken in the United States today than any time in our history. And that is something that we do have to keep in mind, right? Because in the history of the US, never before people were speaking more languages than today. So linguistic diversity is nothing new. It was at least as common in the colonial period and more so during the 19th century. As minority language groups proliferated, about a dozen states and territories passed laws authorizing bilingual instruction, and that is something that we have to keep in mind. In both parochial and public school, children learning languages as diverse as French, Norwegian, Czech, and Cherokee. By the 1900s, there were at least 16,000 elementary school students that received part of all the instruction in German. So these are interesting facts and how the change into bilingual education has happened. Now, the second fallacy is newcomers to the United States are learning English more slowly than in previous generations. To the contrary, today's immigrants appear to be acquiring. So we have to keep this in mind, that today is actually different, and more people are acquiring the language more rapidly than in the past, while the population of minority language speakers is projected to increase well into the next century thanks to immigration and fertility patterns. The population of fluent bilinguals is increasing even faster. So between 1980s and 1990s, the number of U.S. residents who spoke non-English languages at home increased by 59%, while the numbers of this group who spoke English very well rose by 93%. And I think this also works on the other way around as well. A lot of Americans are learning new languages and different languages because they are more multicultural. So it is changing. It goes in two directions: those who come here to live and those who live here. After 15 years in this country, about 3 in 4 Hispanic immigrants use English on a daily basis, while 70% of their children become dominant or monolingual in English. So these are some of the fallacies that are related to bilingual education, and I think it was important for this discussion. I hope you can enjoy the